Another reason why I left religion, Christianity, fundamentalism, and church is because the churches teach biblical toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. Now, I'm not saying that every representation of masculinity and femininity is toxic. Of course not. That's ludicrous. I'm saying that what they call biblical masculinity and biblical femininity comes right out of a time period where women were the property of men and that men owned women's bodies. Biblical masculinity is always phrased as an alpha male pursuit, dominance, control, and leadership. They don't even see masculinity as something that could be a quiet, sensitive, artistic, likes to follow instead of lead, is an interesting linguistic person. There's different kinds of masculinity. There are people that like to lead and follow. There's men who like to follow instead of leading. They have different interests and strengths and weaknesses. Some men actually suffer from a fear of speaking, so they're not natural leaders and public speakers. Then the toxic femininity is telling women that the only use they have is to be a wife and mother. That if you're not doing that, you're not a good woman, that you're in rebellion. This is toxic femininity. Being a woman is a spectrum. You're as much a woman being child-free in your 50s than you are being a mother with 4 kids in her 30s. One is not more of a woman than the other. Womanhood is not your organs, not how you use them. It's how you see yourself. Men don't get to be in charge because they're a man. It's because they're the most qualified, and the people who want to follow this person have consented to it because they had other choices but decided this was the route they wanted to go. I grew up in Southern Baptist Calvinism, and these churches, these denominations teach that there is only one right way to be a godly man and woman. That if you are outside of those expectations, you're in rebellion. If you're not this kind of man, you're a failure. Imagine the mental health issues men suffer with because they may or may not easily fit into these one-size-fits-all expectations. Not all. 45% of women in America don't want to be married or have kids. They have other pursuits, other interests. That doesn't make them any less of a woman because they've never had, relations, never got pregnant, never got married or have kids. They're not any less of a woman. And a man is no less of a man because he's abstinent for years, decides he likes being a bachelor instead of having kids. Or he finds out, you know what? I'm just not into women at all. You're not a man because you fit a very narrow view of manhood. You're not a woman because you fit into a role that all women for 2,000 years fit into because they had no other legal choices. It's how you see yourself. That's what determines whether you're a man or a woman. And you can always evolve. I'm done with churches harping on men have to lead, men have to make money, men have to be protectors. Men are the people women need protection from. And men don't have to lead. Women should be confident to lead themselves. That's why I always say, when you go through life, lead yourself, validate yourself. If you want a companion to walk through life, fine. But don't have one because you need to be led around. If I wanted a tour guide, I would hire a tour guide. I don't need someone leading me around. I'm capable of leading myself and advocating for myself. And if I want protection, I'm not relying on a man to do it. That's why I own weapons that I legally use to protect myself. Luckily, I've never had to use those yet. I have had a few stalkers. But I want a positive green flag masculinity and femininity. And it doesn't have to look anything like an alpha male or a Barbie. I want somebody to be their authentic self. And if a man has more feminine interests, which I don't even believe in, an interest or a hobby isn't feminine because it's something women do. We need to stop talking about things like one thing is masculine and the other is feminine. People are who they are. And if you don't fit the toxic version of masculinity, good for you. But I'm just done with all the toxicity. This is why conversion camp should be illegal. Stop forcing people to be a small-minded version of a bigger picture. It damages girls. It damages relationships. Just stop expecting men to be the providers. Everyone should be providing for themselves. And if people don't see each other as equals, it doesn't matter who leads you. Because if the person who's leading you does not see you as an equal, I don't want to be led by that person.